Hello again, welcome back. Now I'm going back to the What the Hell Is This series with Pacific Rim Uprising, which is the terrible sequel to Pacific Rim, which was a wonderful kaiju versus giant robots film from 2013. This was the 5 years later sequel, which was made because they couldn't get Del Toro back to do Guillermo Del Toro did the first one. He wanted to do a sequel. The sequel he wanted to do was deemed too expensive for what the first film made. The first film did well, but not amazing. It did well in China. The view was you had to do it at a lower budget than the first one, which goes against the point of Pacific Rim, which is you need the spectacle. So they said, "Oh, we'll do a cheaper sequel." I'm not sure if it was any cheaper actually by the end of the day, but it looked cheaper. It was a hell of a lot cheaper, and so they made a film that was an abomination that most fans of the original was like, I'm out, I'm nope, including me. And that's the series gone, it's dead. They did 2 seasons of an animated show on Netflix, but that's the series gone, and basically one good film, and that's it. This one is how you don't make a sequel. This one feels like one of those 80s sequels they made where a film did well, and it's like, oh, maybe a sequel. What do we do? Well, we have different people in charge, and they probably don't even like the first one that much, but we'll give them the one job because no one good wants to do it. That's what the way the film feels like. Charlie Hunnam didn't return. He was doing King Arthur and I think the Lost City of Z. So he went on to do better things for Lost City of Z. And honestly, King Arthur's a lot better than this film. It's not very good, but it's better than this. You know, the Idris Elba died, so he couldn't. Well, his character died, so he couldn't come back. So his character's son is the lead character in this one, played by John Boyega, who's the only decent thing in it. Him and the girl who plays the psychic are the only two things at all in this film. The two actors who actually seem to have put at least a bit of effort into this. So those two characters are gone. So basically, you don't be a leading man anymore, which is very Speed 2. And it has the same kind of outcome compared to quality-wise. And all the other actors who come back feel like they were filmed within a few weeks and they were sent away again. I mean, Charlie Day's in it for a lot of time, but it feels like he did most of his work on one set or a green screen. Like two sets. There's his home set, which probably was a day of shooting. There's the set of the big military operation he's involved with, and then there's bits between a roof where it looks very green screened. So it doesn't look like he was there for that long. Bud Gorman, who was his sidekick in that, he's probably there for a bit longer and gets all the exposition, all the Duff exposition to do. Poor bastard. He gets all the bad lines and he doesn't deserve it. He's trying, but it's like he looks like he knows he's doomed. And the Mako character is in it for like 10 minutes. In other words, they couldn't get the actress back. She had much better things to do with her time because she's actually a very good actress who's in a lot of good stuff. And so they brought her in, killed her off, and moved on. And one of the massive problems of the film is they have no respect for the original characters. I mean, the character Mako was the heart of the first film. You don't kill them off after 10 minutes. I mean, that's a character, we can't get her back for very long. What do we do? Well, you easily just had a character have information, go missing, then turn up at the end. And you'd have got the same plot. And you wouldn't have been very annoying to the people like the first one. Because they do that, killing someone off who was really well liked the first film is bad. I mean, a worst example even that is Dark Fate with John Connor. But it's bad if it's a beloved character and everyone feels that they've just been gypped. They paid them money and they're getting this character killed off for no reason beyond laziness of writing. That's why it feels like an 80s sequel where they don't care and don't know what they're doing. also the Charlie Day character, who was one of the most likable characters in the first one, who's very enthusiastic, is the villain in this one. He goes bad, becomes a villain. So you've killed off sort of the two characters who are probably the most liked in the first film. One's killed off brutally pretty early on for no reason beyond they couldn't get her for very long, so they just killed her off. And the other one is turned into a villain. She's been on set for not much longer. It's not a good look, and both characters are written not much like the characters were in the first film. Nor did they feel like an expansion of the first character in the first film. They feel like they're the same name, they use the same actor, but they don't feel like the same characters. The general motivation of the first film's character doesn't seem to have transferred over. Like a lot of what they were doesn't transfer over in a way that's understandable as a viewer. So I'm pretty sure the actors came in, phoned in, and left, and thought, "Oh my god, glad I'm not here for very long." The film this reminds me of a lot is RoboCop 3, which is another film where they brought someone in who didn't really know what they were doing with the franchise and made lots of horrible decisions that had nothing to do with what people wanted from it, and made something very kid-friendly and had lots of stupid scenes that were like, what's going on? Why does this person think we want this? It's a film that killed off a beloved female character from the series early on for no real reason beyond shock value, and it just made you feel, well, screw this movie, I hate you now. You know, it's that same attitude of doing a killing that's not motivated in any possible way beyond shock value. It doesn't really serve the plot. And it's like you'd rather use they didn't have the character in it than do this to them. It's just that kind of mean thing by someone who doesn't understand the series. Even if they say they do, they obviously don't, or they don't like it. So this film is, every time you try and give it you try and be nice about it, it just comes back and screws up about 3 or 4 times in a row. And it's like, I just give up after a while. Because it's a really stupid film. The only thing that works, and this is because I think that were covered by a lot of previous people, was some of the fights with Jaegers, big robot monsters, aren't too bad. They're not the same level as the first one. The first one had character to the movements and felt integrated from the exterior to the interior, with people piloting them to what they're doing felt much better and much more logical. This one, it feels much more like a cartoon, and it feels like it's influenced by anime a lot, just way too much for live action. But it's done by professionals who seem to have taken over certain sections of the film because they're much better done than anything else. Because the direction of the dialogue scenes is appalling. The coverage of dialogue scenes is incompetent, kind of like RoboCop 3, where you're watching and going, I can't believe they're covering it this way. This is no style to it. This is just clunky. And it's such an insult to how much care they did in the first film, how much they tried in the first film. This one feels an insult. You never find out what happened to Charlie Hunnam's character. You assume he's dead, but they never say. Which is another thing, is like, you don't do that to a character. If the actor's not back, find a way to write them out and bring them back later if they want. Don't just do this. And it's just like, it just feels like they're trying to reboot the thing. But they're not allowed to completely ignore the first one. But they don't want to do anything like the first one because it's probably viewed too intellectual. Pacific Rim probably viewed intellectual by this film, which is amazing because it was a guilty pleasure movie done by a guy who loved these films. It's just like, this one is really stupid. Del Toro's got a producer credit. There's like 10 producers. So I'm sure he gave some notes and then moved on and got his paycheck. But the film just feels like it's a cartoon. I mean, it really does. I mean, the whole plot is just nonsense. They're trying to find out. They're trying to replace the Jaegers with some other defense thing, even though there's been no signs of alien reinvasion. So why do they need them anyway? It's like, you've got a defense force. Why do you need to try and upgrade it in this insane thing? Oh, and by the way, this new upgrade becomes the home of the next alien invasion and allows these monsters to come back through from the other dimension to come and invade the Earth again because of their supposedly safe new invention that everyone could tell was going to be the plot hole. The plot line is also a massive plot hole to let these creatures back in. And it was just like, bloody hell. And it's painful to watch because this plot device is so dumb and so stupid and so ridiculously awful that you're just hating it throughout because you know where it's going. And that's not even the worst part of the film. The worst part is the new recruits. They're all kids. You're bringing kids to save the world. Why? Because kids can do the mind thing to do the Jaegers a lot easier. But you need people with maturity who can actually operate these things and actually make them secure and have the wisdom to actually to fight properly. But you don't get with kids, and it's like, or teenagers. So it just feels stupid and basically become an Ender's Game thing. So we've seen Ender's Game, it's about these kids who are, I think they're playing video games, but it turns out they're actually lead the fleet to fight these aliens. This feels very Ender's Game, but if it was done by a moron. The whole film feels done by a moron. Steve DeKnight directed it, and he wrote Daredevil TV show, which was okay, but not that good. But this one is like, he's never directed since then, and I'm glad because this is awfully directed. I mean, it's just incompetent the whole way through. It's just like, it's shot like it's a TV movie. It feels like a pilot for something else. It just feels like it's a TV pilot. During any scene that does not involve the Jaegers trashing something, it just feels like a TV movie. And it's embarrassing to watch in a lot of these scenes and how terrible the dialogue is and how dull the plot is and how they're trying to do all this exposition to explain something which is stupid in the first place. And the thing that kills off the Mako character is so obvious an inside job done by villain that it's like, didn't anyone investigate this properly? Like, it's really stupid. The whole way through the film is an insult to your intelligence, how bad it is, how dumb it is. And it's just one of those films that's like, you couldn't have made it. You didn't even have to try and do a bizarre conspiracy plot. It's giant robots versus monsters. You didn't need to do any of this stuff. You could have just have had them come through an art portal to do this and to do the fight. That's all you had to do, and make up an excuse of a few fights in the film, and that's it. You did not have to do any conspiracy stuff that would ruin some of the characters in the first one and kill off other ones. You know, you could have just said this takes place 40 years after the first film, and there's suspicions of another, invasion, and that'd have been it. That'd have been fine. That'd have worked better than what you got here. What you got here is just this garbage thing that is very kind of hateful and disrespectful. The first one, which is a beloved, silly film, and it doesn't have the wit or the intelligence to actually make a good film in itself, which makes it worse when the film's been a bit dickish with the first film when actually it's so much worse in every possible way. I mean, there's difference between a film that knows it's using silly plot devices to get to the point and knows it's a big silly film, and a film that thinks it's actually being smart and subversive within this big silly plot, and it's actually being as dumb as hell. And this film's giving me a hit even talking about it. It's so bad. It's just avoid it. It's terrible. It just really is terrible. It's unholy mess. It's one of the worst films. It's one of those films that the way people talk about The Last Jedi, some people talk about The Last Jedi, this is how I feel with this film. It's like, why? So, because I like Pacific Rim more than I like a lot of Star Wars stuff, I like big monster movies, big monsters fighting robot movies. So that's one of my things. It's silly, but I enjoy it. But this one is an abomination. So it's made by Legendary, who did the first Pacific Rim, who did the Godzilla films and the King Kong, New King Kong films, which are fun movies. It's like, how did you not get this film in such a mess? How did no one just say, we should back away from this? This is not going to be good. It should have been obvious even by the script that this was not worth investing in. What the whole plot of the last act is dumb. How they kill the monster is dumb. They've even got a silly cute robot saving the day, which is like, that's when you know you have a problem when you're appealing to like preteens specifically. That's what this film feels like. It's made for people who watch cartoons, you know, at primary school level. That's the intellectual level of this film. That's what it's trying to appeal to. But they can't even do that right. So it's just so bad. Anyway, I'm going to stop now. All the actors deserve better. Everyone deserved better. This is on the writers and the director for how terrible it is, and the producers for allowing it to happen. So that's me finishing before I rant anymore. You'll be glad to know. That's me done. Bye for now.